Hello, good afternoon to everybody who's watching now. It's a discussion from a talk festival Lampa, and the title is A Baltic Perspective on Fossil-Free Mobility. To change our energy systems, we must increasingly pay attention to sustainability of fuels for transportation of people and of commodities. With climate neutrality goals set in the Green Deal, fossil phase-out plans become crucial. The session will focus on the role of transport electrification in the Baltic States. It will reflect on the recent developments in low-carbon mobility in Latvia, Estonia and Lithuania, as well as discuss a fair share of costs and opportunities in emerging fossil-free movement spaces. Together with me, Kārlis, Mendziņš, Uzlādēts.lv main person and a Zaļā Brīvība member, we have Raul Potisepp, CEO of Eleport, one of the leading electromobility companies in Estonia. He has worked in both transportation as well as energy sector and has a good understanding of what e-mobility can do. Next to him you see Ansis Valdovskis, Head of Electric Vehicle Charging Network Development at Latvenergo, experienced manager with in-depth interest and knowledge in mobility, innovation and community development issues. And last but not least, we have Andrius Šeršniovas, e-mobility development manager at Ignitis, a passionate person on a mission to help and deploy clean and smart mobility solutions.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, hello to all. And if you want to join our discussion, do you have some question or you have an opinion, you can do so easily. Just go to, go to Slido.com and enter fossil-free mobility, and you can participate in our conversation by submitting your question or opinion. Now, let's move on to our topic. Do really emission-free vehicles help the environment? We hear a lot of talks about how batteries and how electricity is not that green at all. Like, do they actually help? Let's start from the top, from the Baltic States, and then we'll move at the bottom. So, Estonia, Raul Potisepp.
Yes, I think of course they do help the environment. There's a few things which determine whether they help a lot or just a bit. One of such things is where the electricity comes from, when we charge the cars. I'm not sure how much you know about Estonia's energy production, but unfortunately we have a legacy of fossil fuel stations, electric stations. So there's this fossil fuel called oil shale, which is even more pollutant than coal. And in Estonia, a few years back, about 90% of electricity was produced from oil shale. And of course, this is a problem. At this solution, then electric cars were not so environmentally friendly. However, I just read the news that in 2019, the electricity production from fossil fuels decreased 46% within 1 year. So this was huge news, and this meant that only in last year, electric cars became much more greener in Estonia. So. To look on to the future, then we see only that those fossil fuel plants will be closed, most of them by 2030, and maybe even earlier if they are phased out from the market. So my message is, of course, they do help the environment. There are some issues. Other issues like where the battery is made and what kind of components and minerals are mined, but I think it's still a more sustainable solution than everything else which is on the table at the moment.
Ansis?
Okay, I could add to what Raul told. In Latvia, the situation regarding renewable energy is a bit better. We have River Daugava, and this is generating quite a lot of energy for Latvian citizens and even for other markets. At the moment, Latvenergo is producing around 42% renewable energy already, and the plan is to move even to higher numbers, including wind and solar, in the close future, as well as Estonian colleague told. Regarding, do electric cars help to lower the emissions, and what does it actually gives to the customer and to the environment and to the people? I would say a bit in much more simple words my experience, and I know that other people say quite similar things. Imagine yourself driving in a car in Riga, and in front of you there is this old year 89 BMW or Volkswagen or Audi with a cut out particular filter, and he accelerates rapidly. You can see this huge black smoke coming out of this exhaust pipe. And I think this is a simple answer. Does this really help? I think at least at this moment when I'm driving behind the car, I always brake and I wait when the car leaves and only then drive. And this is for people who live in city areas and urban areas. I would say this is the most crucial answer. That yes, it helps, and yes, it helps like really directly, even in Estonian case, if the energy is not so green in the beginning. So yeah.
Thank you, Andrius.
Yeah, it was actually really great examples, but I'd like to give simple example, how it looks. During the COVID situation this year, we all remember those beautiful maps, comparisons like cities like Mumbai, New York, Los Angeles, Abu Dhabi, and so on and so forth, like one picture with smoke with actually mist, another very clear, yeah. And interesting stats, numbers we got from Netherlands. In this beautiful country, it was just phased out only the passenger cars due to lockout, due to COVID. Everybody remain at home, but factories remain working, energy production as well, like groceries as well. We just remove only one thing: passenger cars. Even trucks were on the streets because we need to supply, those factories, things and stuff. And what does basically means? If we will replace internal combustion engine cars or just ICE cars to EVs, we basically will get the same results. So we will get clean air. And another thing is, like, we know that with EVs are coming as well, less noise, because especially if you're driving within the towns, EV is very silent, and this is as well can avoid of noise pollution as well, not only air pollution. So of course this is a great example how the future looks like.
Indeed. We saw it during this COVID crisis recently, when there was almost no mobility whatsoever. Well, the regular ones that we just need to count, like hospitals and such, they still work, but more people stayed at home, which meant less cars being moved. So we experienced a bit of the future, right? Like, there was less noise, less pollution, less heat even having in the middle of the cities. And what are the current trends in the transport? Like, how many emission-free vehicles? I mean, not only cars. Like, we mostly, when we talk about EVs, like electric vehicles, we think about one specific vehicle means, like that is a car. Like, what are the situation in each country? Let's start the same order. Raul?
Okay. In Estonia, there is about 1,400 cars, plus a couple of hundreds of scooters, and also there is one electric bike sharing scheme. So yeah, and as far as I know, no bigger trucks or planes or however, this week we had our first hybrid ferry. So this is a step again towards electricity. They installed. I don't remember the size of the battery packs, but they were pretty decent. What they do now is they offer efficiency from the burning of the fuel. But in the future, I hope that electric ferries will come as well.
Ansis?
Regarding Latvia, it's I just got the last statistics of cars in Latvia, and it's a good news. I think 2 days ago it was 997 cars in Latvia electric. So I think we could speculate that today it's already 1,000. I would say the good thing is about this let's say the loop is going like that now. It's going really rapid. Of course, good impact for that was one car sharing company which started a business in Riga. They purchased 100 cars in Riga, so it of course there was a good jump from that. But the surprise, or maybe not a surprise, came that actually apart from this car sharing company, even without these results, the jump is quite rapid, and we need to take in mind that there is no financial support purchasing the cars. It's only parking and free parking and no tax for registration and no tax for exploitation. Yes, no road tax and no. We have city Jūrmala, and you can enter the city free of charge if you have electric car. That's more or less all you can get, but still the natural growth of electric cars in Latvia shows that I would say the society is quite ready, and we just need to move forward. And if the support will be at least let's say from any angle, it's going to be much more faster in the future.
Yeah, so actually really great. Glad to hear that Estonia has first e-ferry in Baltic. So congratulations, this is really exciting news. So Estonia is always ahead of us. So really great news, and I'm really glad that Latvia is as well growing even without the subsidies, which is really exciting. Speaking about the Lithuania, so at the moment we have 2,000 battery electric vehicles, which means 100% electric vehicles, around 23,000 PHEVs. Unfortunately, we have included hybrid in these numbers as well. We cannot split on them because not only real PHEVs. So if we're talking about full fleet, including LCVs and HCVs, it's about 3,000 at the moment. So the thing is that Lithuania has one e-bus producer, which is in Klaipėda-based. They are produced e-buses, and they are starting to deployment. And another company in Kaunas we have, which is modifying diesel vans to PHEVs. So this is as well. And at the moment we have as well infrastructure. Let's say not enough infrastructure, of course, but it's growing. At the moment we have 125 fast charger. And by the way, today we have first Ionity location open in Lithuania, which is really nice. You can fast within 10 minutes your car and drive away, which is as well very nice. As well, international companies like Tesla, as well as are coming in Baltics, including Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. And by the end of this year, we will deploy first Tesla supercharger network. And other companies like Allego, like Greenway, are considering to join the Baltics as well. And actually, thanks to tax initiatives, things are starting to grow, at least in Lithuania, which is really nice.
Yeah, indeed. But we were still talking about cars. Okay, Raul mentioned ferries. That's a really good one. The ferries actually are really polluting. But I know in Latvia we have in Rezekne, in the city of Rezekne, we have 4 buses, and electric buses, fully electric, and in Jurmala we have 4 more. Or was it 6 in Rezekne and 2 in Jurmala? But in any case, we have buses. But actually, last year what I saw in Latvia was that really a lot of these mopeds, scooters, not kick scooters, but scooters, they were getting real attraction.
And we actually have two shared electric scooter companies, but not kick, but real shared scooter companies in Riga deployed as well. And I think there is going to be more in close future.
Yeah.
So mobility is not only cars. I can agree. Definitely.
And trains as well. Like they're historically more electric than diesel or any other means. But the cheapest way is still the diesel. Initially cheaper.
One point that I need to add, otherwise my colleagues will be angry. We have actually 2 companies in Estonia who are developing self-driving those little buses. So I don't know, like 15 people or maybe about 15 people inside. So this is actually also very interesting. I know that in terms of the quantity, it doesn't mean anything, but what is also interesting is that one company is taking the old Mitsubishi IMEV platform, and they are basically developing this bus on this old platform. And of course they have to change it and make it bigger, but that's also something interesting to note.
Okay, we have already our first question from Slido platform. Reminder, just go to slido.com and use the code FossilFreeMobility, all lowercase, and you can submit your questions and opinions. And our first question is, public, shared or private electric? What's your advice for investment priorities? That's basically a state-wise investment. Should it be for private persons, or should it be for shared mobility, or for public use? Nobody wants to answer that?
I can start. I think it's actually you need to focus on more specific. Let's say it depends on what are we talking about. If it's only mobility, I would say that there are several things. One of the things we need to focus is that public transport is one of the directions which I would say is to be supported. Public transportation is a really big impact to any city. So if there is any support at all, they should start with this. Regarding shared, I would say that some initiatives should be there to help and to promote this direction, definitely, because shared mobility helps to solve a lot of issues in city mobility as well. And of course, I would definitely say that infrastructure is one of the things. If it's a public infrastructure, then this is the direction which should be considered as a supported direction, because if we will have the infrastructure, the private sector and other sectors will much easier jump into electric mobility solutions in future. We had in the beginning of this year, we had a small subsidy scheme for about 240 cars, 5,000 euro subsidy, and what we were advising the authorities was that this money should go to high mileage cars, because in this way, this subsidy is sort of better used. Or if you take, for example, a car which is for a private person who drives maybe 10,000 or 15,000 kilometers a year, then one thing is that the CO2 reduction is not so huge. But when you take, for example, a taxi company or a courier,
who drive, 60, 80, 100,000 kilometers a year. And most of it is in the city area. In this way, I think you will use more the car, and thus you will every euro that you put into the subsidy, you will get a much more better result. But of course, I mean, it's a difficult question. Private cars should be also supported, but maybe then there's a possibility that the subsidy will be according to the mileage. So the higher mileage, the more subsidy, or some kind of mileage linked scheme. And of course, yes, shared cars. This is also actually one of our shared short-term rental companies use this subsidy scheme very much. So in this regard, this Estonian subsidy scheme was actually, I think 75% were companies that applied to this scheme, and the remaining 25 were private people. So,
Andrius, what's your opinion?
Actually, it depends. If you are like, I don't know, a logistic company, for instance, DHL, DPD, or last mile transportation company, of course, in terms of total cost of ownership, today we have business case, but to do that, as Raul mentioned, you should be like a taxi driver, you should do a lot of kilometers. And if you do a lot of kilometers, even today, there is business case and worth to invest. Another thing is that we have like not enough EVs, which has big batteries and big mileages. That's a problem. But still, if we're talking about city commuting, I think that's today worth to invest. If we looking from CPO perspective, charging point operator perspective, to be honest, today there is no business case because not enough EVs, at least in street of Vilnius or Lithuania. So there is, frankly speaking, no business case, but we believe in bright future, we see potential, and we building this business today from the very beginning, so it's very depends. If you're a private person, if you're commuting every day for 50 kilometers one way, so this is of course very nice as well to have EV, because this is fun to drive, easy to charge, not expensive during the nights. You can charge at homes with the night tariffs, and actually, if you can buy used Nissan Leaf, for instance, you can afford with a very good price. And another thing, we know that EVs are very reliable, so we can think about it as from private person perspective.
Okay, like we know EVs is a transportation means, but is it only the transportation that's gonna change if we switch to EVs?
Mm-hmm. Starting from Estonia again, me. I think EVs will definitely impact energy sector as well, since electric vehicles are basically what they are moving energy storage units. So in Estonia, I think we talk quite a lot about desynchronizing from the Russian grid in around 2025, and after that we have to keep our own synchronization. So I think at this point EVs can help a lot to also to stabilize the grid, and this also for the electric car owner means that they can either, in theory, they can drive for free, or in some cases they can earn more money than they spend on charging. So I think this is very interesting regarding the future. And what else? when there is more and more renewable, intermittent renewables such as solar and wind, then of course EVs will help to then charge during the times when there is, for example, a storm and too much electricity in the grid. They will help to again stabilize the grid and use and consume some of this energy. And to go a step further, there is I'm sure you have heard and know about this vehicle to grid technology. So again, really interesting concept that in the future, maybe in 10 years, we will take our electric cars and we will go in the middle of the forest to our cabins, which is off-grid, and when we will use the source, the battery as a source of electric supply. So yeah, definitely, there's much more than only the transportation sector, which will be affected by electric vehicles.
Well, that was actually quite a good answer to such a simple question, right? No, not only transportation means it's gonna help the grid, stabilizing it, even stabilizing it. Like, we only thinking about consuming, but we can be prosumers that give back. And we have a really good question from the audience. What about Rail Baltica? Do you see it as the backbone of the future of transport system connecting this region? Well, this region we probably mean Baltic States and Scandinavia maybe. So what about Rail Baltica?
Yeah.
Andrius?
Actually, I can answer to this question very easily because I'm quite familiar with that topic. So the thing is that, yeah, like Raul mentioned, that affects not only the actually EVs, but the grid as well. But the thing is that biggest challenges are coming in terms of grid. I'm speaking about the grid. Then we will have to electrify our commercial vehicles, heavy commercial vehicles, ferries, aircrafts, rails, and so on and so forth. And for instance, to get better understanding, if we would like to transform simple gas station, which now supplying trucks to the diesel, right? We just transform them to the electric trucks. So for basic, let's say, gas station or electric station, we need around 10 megawatt power input power, from the grid, which is to understand how much power we need for that is like, I don't know, one biggest skyscraper in Riga or in Thailand consuming around maybe maximum 300 kilowatts. But we're talking about megawatts. So we need really massive connection from the grids because we need to charge with a lot of power these trucks very quickly. But can our network handle that? Yes, answer is yes, but we need, of course, investment and support from EU. But of course, we can do that. And companies like MAN, Daimler, Tesla, working on new standards, and those standards as well as coming. So I think the grid can handle those future technologies as well.
I will maybe try to answer to the Rail Baltica question from this perspective. I think that in a logical way, of course, Rail Baltica is going to be some kind of the main mobility solution for the region. But we need to understand that this should all go hand in hand with next level solutions. Let's say in Riga, I would say that this is important. That Rail Baltica is the backbone, but you have this. The biggest city circle is connected to Rail Baltic. The airport is connected to Rail Baltic. The park and ride system is connected to Rail Baltic, and it should be all thought through with the electric car and the electric charging solutions. So at the moment when the Rail Baltic is built, we need to do a lot of job and to create this channel that it's not only Rail Baltic as a one single solution. It should be connected with all the other solutions are there. Like like airports, people, local transport, and then park and ride systems, mobility points in the systems for scooters and car sharings and ride hailings and etc. So it's if the governments and we and the communities will provide this solution well and thoughtful, then it could be really good backbone. That would be a short answer.
Well, quite a good answer as well. If we switch to fossil-free mobility, I'm not talking just about EVs, just fossil-free. It could be compressed air systems as well, or hydrogen, which is basically the same electricity. But what are these benefits? First, we're going to talk about these benefits, and then I want to know about the downside for going this fossil-free road. Is there any? Like, first we're going to talk about benefits. Andrius.
Yeah, so actually benefits is like, first of all, is economic benefits. Like we have to transform to green fossil-free economy and be more competitive. And who will do this first? I mean, transform that countries will be more competitive and vice versa. Actually, we have to innovate faster, create transition to sustainable economy, and it should be applied for living, transportation, and industry. Another thing is, of course, environmental. So fossil fuels means climate change. We know how is the bad climate change situation at the moment. We deserve clean air, clean water, safe environment, and it should be our natural right. And of course, last one is social, because now government spend a lot of money to subsidize fossil fuel economy instead of health, education, and green economy. So as well, we should transform in that way. So speaking about the dark side of the moon, the bad things. This is, of course, first of all, this is ethical issues regarding the batteries. First of all, yeah, we know that batteries needs elements like cobalt, lithium, and we heard these horrible stories from mining about abusing children, miners, and so on in Congo, Tibet, and all around the world. So that's the one thing. Another thing is that, for instance, if you are, I don't know, diesel engine specialist in workshop or truck driver, we both know that after 10 years, nobody needs those people like specialists. So people have to transform and adopt faster. And the main thing is that people really like new things, but people really don't like to change yourself. So that's the problem.
Does anybody else have something to add?
So I think some of it was said, but fossil-free for me it means cleaner air, which was previously also told by Andrius regarding this COVID pandemic example. And cleaner air in turn means that there will be less lung and heart diseases, which means in turn that the public sector spending in the healthcare system, in theory, might also fall. So this could mean that more money is available for something else. In Estonia, we are spending millions of euros, even not tens of millions of euros, to buy imported oil products from other countries. So again, going fossil fuel, and I mean gasoline and diesel. This means that we don't have to give this money away. We can basically pay to the local electricity provider in Estonia, and this money will stay in the country. About the downside, I think that a lot of very, very big and powerful energy corporations will suffer. But since they have power, they have funds available, I think they will find a way how to how to react in time and how to develop with the new situation. So actually, what is interesting and what I have spent time thinking about is when 50% or 70% of the cars are electric, then I think traffic can be much more unpredictable and faster, since the acceleration of EVs is much faster than the combustion engine vehicles. So in the future, maybe when everybody is driving cars, which will accelerate, 6-7 seconds to 100 kilometers instead of 12 or 13 seconds as it is today, I think this can mean again, in theory, more accidents because the traffic is faster and more unpredictable.
That's
okay. I
haven't actually thought about, but yes, Ansis.
Yeah, but you have to take in mind that if you say 5-7 years, Raul, then autonomous driving or semi-autonomous driving, at least in city areas, I think could be already a reality. So it means in one way it could be even vice versa, that it's going to be even more safer and okay, maybe a bit boring to drive, but from safety side, I would say it's more safer. Regarding fossil, I cannot add much more. I think you guys told almost everything you can tell about this topic. Of course, from the downside, we have to understand that as all things in the world, we don't need to over-exaggerate the speeds. So we have to understand that alternative fuels, alternative energy, let's say wind or solar, they are supported energies at the moment. And then there is this other question regarding storing this energy and when let's say this situation, Raul, you explained about storms. Yes, the energy is available, but we haven't yet decided how to store it. So that's the downside. We need to move fast, but I would say that it's step by step. It shouldn't be like over-exaggerated. Only in electricity, and then one day we understand that it's actually a bit too fast and we cannot store, and it's already no fossil as an alternative. So this should be taken in mind. But I'm saying the same thing, that of course electricity and clean energy is the direction we need to go, and go fast.
Okay, we have actually quite a lot of questions at the moment on our platform, Slido.com, fossil-free mobility. I'll start from a question directly for Andrius. Lithuania has some free chargers. Does this help e-mobility or actually hurts, as it is difficult for other companies to compete with free?
Oh, that's a very good question. I don't know who asked that, but thank you for this great question.
Anonymous.
Anonymous, all right. Yeah, it depends, actually. To be honest, if we see from the perspective of driver, this is very cool, like you driving. I saw some comments from Estonian guys that, oh, let's look, in Lithuania you can charge free of charge and fast charger. This is really cool. And of course, we Lithuanians, taxpayers, should pay for that. But from the perspective of the CPOs, the infrastructure who develop that, this is nightmare, because you have to compare the same product. They are comparing free of charge, we asking money. And, the people starting complaining like, guys, the charging should be free of charge. You are like, I don't know. It depends. But from the again, it doesn't help to expand faster infrastructure. That's for sure. But as an EV driver, I like that. But from the CPO side, I really don't like that. Don't support. In general, thank you that we have trial for 5 years and this disappears. Thanks God, this is temporary.
I can also bring a couple of examples from Estonia. in these chargers where the charging is free. For example, I won't mention any names, but Estonians definitely know. There is one charger in Pärnu where you can charge for free, but nobody is maintaining this charger and offering, for example, client support. So when something happens at the charger, for example, you cannot end the session and you want to leave the charger, what can you do? There is nobody to turn to, and it can ruin your plans. I think the biggest problem is that when something is free, then it tends to, of course, it will ruin the market logic as well, which is also very important. But when something is free, the service is below expectations. And I think this can also ruin the electric vehicle experience for somebody who is, for example, new and has just bought a car. So I think it might sound a good idea at first, but in order to develop and to keep up the infrastructure investments. And to maintain and offer a good client service, you have to invest, and you have to. I think most clients will agree that they have to pay money as well for this better service.
Indeed. We have a bit more than 15 minutes left in this conversation, so I'll ask you guys to answer compactly, well, not like in one sentence or one word, but just we'll try to squeeze the rest of this discussion in the last 15 minutes. So we discussed almost everything that we already had prepared for this discussion, but let's talk a bit more green. So what are the requirements for every country to reach the Green Deal goals? We know we have a goal for 2030 and we have a goal for 2050. I know we're all going in the same direction, like zero emissions in 2050, but what are the main aspects in each country? How about we start with Ansis?
Okay. I could let's say I could speak from energy side. Let's say from our company side, of course, the main direction is to move as much to renewable energy. That's the main topic we are going to, and we are focusing all the efforts to get there. Of course, the question is much wider, and it includes governmental issues and others. But let's say from our company side, we are aiming to reach these goals and to be as much renewable as we can. We have some issues, but there are solutions how we can get there. We will improve our energy production factories and we will focus on wind and solar as much as it is possible. And we will try to create from that not only nice to have, but an efficient solution. If we talk about governmental side, I would say that still a lot of things to do. What I have heard, what I liked is this strategy that we are going to this as much renewable passenger transportation. It's not only country-wide, but as the same level goes to, for example, biggest city Riga. There is interesting plans regarding creating more railroad solutions around the city, and the focus is to change the buses to electric. And as Kārlis already mentioned, there are several cities in Latvia. I know that Rezekne, Jūrmala, Ventspils are looking in these solutions, and then we know that Riga is looking even further. They are looking, Riga Satiksme is looking, and they have already some ideas regarding hydrogen solutions. We even have a hydrogen production field in Riga next to the university. So it's quite, let's say, it's quite complex question. I think it's about the society. It all begins in the level of society, and the society has to understand that we need to move together to the zero emission society. It includes a lot of things. Mobility is only one. Let's say recycling as well is another, and a lot of other topics we need to look on. And if the educational side and the strategy of the country and strategy of every company goes to this direction, then it's a good opportunity to get there. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can add. I think for Estonia, the goal number one is to decarbonize the energy sector, and to close, in my view, to close as soon as possible the very, very polluting. In fact, I think they're the most polluting in the world, or in top 10 at least. Those electricity plants. But here's a small problem. I think that in Latvia and Lithuania, you guys are also energy or electricity importers. So it's half jokingly you can say that Estonia is producing this dirty energy not only to Estonia but also to Latvia and Lithuania. So I really hope that Lithuania and Latvia also start quickly developing more and more renewables. So yeah, decarbonizing the energy sector. This is definitely goal number one for Estonia. But hydrogen was mentioned briefly. I think this is interesting technology, and there are also places and niches where it can be used already today. But when regarding again mobility, then I see that hydrogen can be used in heavier equipment or heavier machinery, so where batteries are not yet that advanced. So yeah, this is actually what our country is also looking into, because we have a couple of companies who are either developing fuel cells or doing scientific research in this regard as well. But other than that, I mean, it's on a more broader perspective, it's easier. You have to invest in environmentally friendly technologies. You have to support the industry to innovate, and one sector is also buildings, because we have, I think, all three countries who have a lot of buildings are from the Soviet time, which are not very energy efficient. So this is also something that Estonia needs to do.
Okay, what's Lithuania number one goal?
I think there is three main keys, main top things to reach the targets. First thing is legislation. Second is taxation, and third is education. So what I'm talking about, for instance, France has bonus-malus system, which means that polluting transport subsidize clean transports. For instance, if you want to buy Volkswagen Touareg in France, you have to pay 12,000 only because this diesel is polluting, and this money goes to the support clean transport. And then things like free emissions, zero emission zones within the cities, public transport, and so on and so forth.
Okay, great. We have less than 10 minutes left in this conversation. I'll quickly pop in an opinion. Substituting internal combustion engine cars with electric vehicle cars will only help with reducing CO2 emissions, but not the car dependency. Urban mobility in general needs to be rethought. Agree or disagree?
Raul, go ahead.
Just
Right.
thumbs up or thumbs down.
Definitely.
We don't have much time for this one.
Okay, yeah, definitely agree. I mean, car is a car. It doesn't matter what it's powered by. And also, I'm a bit skeptical whether new taxi companies called Uber and Bolt and others will resolve the problem. So definitely, we have to come up with another kind of plan, and I think we have to stop developing cities for cars, because this is the first thing. If you develop infrastructure which is primary target is to for the cars, then this is where the problems begin. That's what we see in United States, for example.
Yes, I can add that I think the legislation should go starting from pedestrians, then multi-mobility, and car is only the fourth solution after public transportation. And it should go hand in hand, and society should think that either looking on the distance you need to cope, you just choose the right solution for your mobility, and it shouldn't be car at all in all the cases. And if we will manage to get there, and the legislation will be built in that scale, so we will reach our goals for zero emissions much more faster. I had a really nice picture in my Twitter account from one guy who make the picture of his son's first school day in 1st September, and he made a picture of a bicycle line, and it was full, and it was really nice direction that this is the mobility our kids are looking on, and we just need to like scale it up.
So Andrius, agree or disagree?
Totally agree with both opinions, but I think that cities now built for the cars. We should transform them for the people. First of all, it should be people, and like Ansis mentioned, multimodal things. I mean, in terms of transportation, like affordable public transport, convenient, and so on and so forth. So I hope that one day, especially city centers, will be without the cars.
Okay, like we know that Baltic states are rarely in the forefront of innovations. Okay, we know Skype was in Estonia, and we have different other things in Latvia and in Lithuania. Well, maybe not as popular as Skype, but we have our own things. But here's the thing. Are there any current short-term plans for fossil fuel phase-out? Like we know, like some countries in Europe and around the world want to like phase out the sales, but do we have anything similar here in Baltic states?
Yeah, I can just do a quick remark on the Skype. Actually, these engineers who founded Skype, they invested in our company last year. So yeah, these guys are partly in this conversation as well. So, cool. But regarding the phase-out plans, in Estonia, the national energy company Latvenergo is very powerful, and there are a lot of jobs in the fossil fuel sector. So there are no phase-out plans at the moment.
Ansis?
It's let's say we see what I think I can mention this car sharing company in Latvia which purchased 100% electric car fleet. This is a really good example of phasing out fossil. So it's just one company, but these 100 cars actually create a really good impact on Riga as a city, because a lot of users see these electric cars. They have opportunity to test them, to drive them, to understand what is charging, to maybe change this approach from owning a car to going to this sharing, and even further to going to electric sharing. So this is one nice example. It's not okay. Let's say it's not innovative technology. It's already been there and done that in different countries. But for Riga, it's a good step up. And I would what I can say that we see that there are much more business ideas regarding zero emission products, and we have talked to companies, and we see that this direction is going on. And we as a company, Latvenergo, we are really happy and ready to support all these ideas with our solutions.
Andrius?
I think the main driving forces of e-mobility in Europe and in our region will be, first of all, European CO2 compliance. Second one is 95-gram CO2 directive to car OEMs. Third one, Green Deal. Then, of course, Dieselgate scandal. It was very big impact on that. Of course, EV price parity is coming, is not so far away. Another thing is there is no real alternatives for EVs. Okay, maybe hydrogen, but this is even far than EVs. And of course, Tesla's success story. We know that Tesla within the last 12 months grew by crazy, like 1,000%, while sales rose only by 3%. So it means that there is no alternatives and people want that technology. And this is really great example how organic growth, works.
Okay. The last question in this discussion is, what can local authorities, and I mean municipalities, influencers, individuals, do more to actually reach this goal of fossil-free mobility? How about we start with Lithuania, Andrius?
So first thing, what municipalities should do, they have to start not wait CO2 legislation, but start that doing ourselves. There is no barriers for do that. So first of all, they have to do legislation as soon as possible. Another thing, if we're talking about influencers, influencers has to continue educate followers, especially younger generation. For instance, I have children who is 10 years old at the moment. So I wish that he will never be ICE driver. He has real chance to drive EV only. So this is great chance to rid this technology off. And people, including petrol heads, should just try, not afraid to try that technology, because this is really nice, future-proof, and fun to try.
Thank you, Ansis.
Yes, I can add from this perspective that let's say starting from society, we need to start from ourselves, and it includes everything you do in your daily life, like sorting your trash and not polluting when it's not needed. Don't change your phone every second year. Change it when it's done, and it goes on and on and on. Regarding influencers and the people who can influence, then do the same. Be responsible and be sustainable regarding what you are doing in your life. And it goes further to the municipalities. When they decide how the city should look, I think the responsibility to your society is the main priority, which should be first in line. And if it is, then everything else will go like easy going. So that's it from me. Mm-hmm. Be responsible.
Thank you. Raul?
I just add a couple of points of what has already been said, but I think regarding local municipalities, one important thing is the problem is how do we get chargers, either public or private chargers, near apartment buildings? Because we have those. I think we all have those Soviet era city parts where there is very difficult to park a normal car, and where it's extremely difficult to get a charger. So local municipalities, I think, can or we at least expect help from them how to solve the charging problem in apartment buildings. Then influencers, I think it's awareness campaigns and just be in the media, just talk about endlessly about the pros and cons of EVs, and individuals. I think they need to choose electric whenever they can. For example, in Estonia, we have in this Bolt app, we have electric category. Just choose electric when you go somewhere. Just rent, and you don't own a car, rent electric car, rent Fixi or rent from Eleport or whoever. As they say, vote with your dollars. so yeah, vote EV. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll just quickly remind who we are, and that's the end of our discussion. We have Raul Potisepp, CEO of Eleport, representing Estonia. We have Ansis Valdovskis, Head of Electric Vehicle Charging Network Development at Latvenergo from Latvia. Andrius Šeršniovas, E-Mobility Development Manager at Ignitis, representing Lithuania. And me, Kārlis Mendziņš, representing Uzlādēts.lv, Latvia as well, moderating this conversation. So thank you very much if you have been watching so far, and see you whenever we see you.